We hear of some of the analyst reactions to Tesla, to Rivian, to EVs more generally. We're also seeing governments react to the worrying from their side that EVs are very cheap when they're coming from China, and it's because they're subsidized. Just set the context of where we stand right now.
Right. Well, I think that's a really big debate. And right now in Brussels, where I am based, basically at every minute of the day, this is what politicians and everyone is discussing. I think the bottom line is that China had a long-term vision as well as subsidies for over a decade now to build their expertise, not just in electric vehicles, but the entire supply chain. They had policies on demand side, on supply side, and on this just entire ecosystem. So today, they simply have excellent high quality technology, dominance over the supply chain, as well as problems domestically leading to oversupply that they want to sell across the world. I'll just put one fact for you, which I think really underscores why the current EV tariff negotiations in Europe are so important. Almost 60% of all Chinese EV global exports are actually going today to Europe, while the US market is close to them. That's why the current negotiations in Brussels over the higher tariffs are so tense and really still just heating up right now.
Those duties, those tariffs could be as high as about 35%, on addition to the 10% tariffs that are already existing. The breaking news today is that we understand the EU and China will continue negotiations, even as the EU looks to perhaps pass through these tariffs as soon as the beginning of next month. Julia, how likely do you think it is that these tariffs will go into place and need to go into place?
So first of all, whether or not they will go into place. As we see the situation today, it still seems likely that there is no blocking majority of member states against the tariffs. So the vote can take place any day now until the end of October. And as of today, it seems that the additional tariffs would go through. However, what we do understand is that there might be a clause put into that agreement that the European Commission and the Chinese officials can continue negotiating. And if they reach some sort of deal, either on prices or volumes of imports, this might be reversed. Now, that's number one. But number two is also important. Do we need those tariffs? And when we talk about tariffs on Chinese EVs in Europe, I think we always forget the other big part of the picture. What is missing is the affordable supply of electric vehicles in Europe by European manufacturers. Some of this is planned. So about 12 models, cheaper models, are planned for next year that coincide with the next set of European clean car regulations, the so-called car CO2 standards. Okay. So as part of the package, EV tariffs make sense. If you have standards, you have local EVs, and then you have higher tariffs. If you don't have supply,
let me jump in. Let's talk about that package. Tariffs is one factor. Earlier today, Bloomberg spoke to the ACEA Director General, who basically said there's a perfect storm for the EV industry in Europe right now. Just listen to what was said.
I mean, it's all coming together at the same time. We sometimes call it the almost perfect storm happening together, and we need to deal with that. And I think now, also with the green transition moving from paper to reality starts to hit, and we see how difficult it is to not just have mandates, regulatory mandates, and models on the market, manufacturers making cars, but also needing a market to pull. And that's what we are missing at the moment in Europe.
That's the chief of Europe's biggest autos lobby group saying things are very hard right now for our industry. A perfect storm. Do you see a perfect storm?
I do agree that things are really hard. What I think we miss in Europe is a comprehensive green automotive strategy that would have the vision, industrial policy to support it, be it investment support, be it trade policy. That is not happening, and that's what we're now discussing following the famous Draghi report, so the senior report that was presented in Europe on competitiveness. But I do have to say that all of this didn't just arrive as a complete surprise. Car makers knew about the EV targets for years. And we always expected the market to stagnate in 2023 and 2024, then to pick up in 2025.
OK, so Julia, what is the consumer's attitude to electric vehicles in Europe?
When the vehicles are brought at right prices, consumers are flocking to buy them. The French social leasing model, where smaller affordable EVs were made available, was oversubscribed. So the demand is there, but it's there at the rightly priced vehicles. And that's what we're missing. We are missing affordable models. As I said, they're planned for next year. So we just need to get those models, ramp those up, bring them to consumers, and actually see how the market reacts. It's too early to judge that today in 2024 when those models are not there.